Ladies and gentlemen, the American Jury and Bulldog Nation, welcome to the Eric Deters Show. As always, we're sponsored by Deters Consulting, Parks Yoga. Check us out on all of our platforms. And guess what, folks? Lots of big days today. Number one, today is National Flag Day. You know what? We should fly our flag proudly. We should always stand for our flag, respect our flag, right? In fact, I was thinking this morning that, all the woke stuff, did it begin with the kneeling for the flag bit? I think it might have. Or was it the statues? It was one or the other first, I think. And then also today is Donald Trump's birthday. Happy birthday to President Trump. I hope last night at Westminster in New Jersey buoyed his spirits and he's ready to rock and roll today. It's also National Bourbon Day. Since we are the bourbon epic of the world, not empire, epic, bourbon empire of the world, we should celebrate National Bourbon Day too, right? Yesterday, Donald Trump was arraigned. I've already done enough Facebook Lives of covering this, but if you're watching this show for the first time, it was inconsequential. He entered his plea of not guilty. Well, he didn't. His lawyers did, and he left. Stopped by at a Cuban restaurant where he hung out with them, bought them all dinner, then flew back to New Jersey where he let it rip at Westminster. Bottom line is, this is going to do nothing but good for Donald Trump politically, but it's a disgrace for our nation. Joe Biden's bribery, these things just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And the bottom line is, it looks like it's closing in on him. And along those lines, they issued a subpoena, the Oversight Committee issued a subpoena, James Comer yesterday, to Devin Archer. You know who Devin Archer is? He was convicted in February of 2022 for defrauding a Native American Indian tribe, sentenced to a year in prison in order to pay $43 million in restitution. Here he is golfing with Joe and Hunter. You believe that? Can you imagine what old Devin Archer knows about the Bidens? This is who the Bidens hang out with. It's truly amazing. Well, this was reported yesterday. J.K. Rowling, who, by the way, is a liberal, but she's really been big in fighting back on all this transgender stuff. There was a United States university that declared this. You can't make this up. That lesbians are a non-man attracted to non-men. A non-man instead of saying she's a woman who's attracted to a woman, no, she's a non-man attracted to a non-man. You talk about taking the human, they don't even want to use the word non in describing a gender. Tucker Carlson's episode hit last night on Twitter, episode 3. Obviously, the cease and desist letter didn't work. And he focused on the fact that he thinks Trump is being charged based upon his anti-military establishment policies. That he thinks the Washington military class wants to get him. Makes sense to me. Vivek Ramaswamy last night was down in Florida. Yesterday was down in Florida with a hat with truth on, calling for every single Democrat and Republican presidential nominee to say they'll pardon Donald Trump. He got a lot of press for it. Speaking of that, the Republican view on Trump, 80% of Republicans feel like this is a political persecution. How do you lose a primary with that polling number? You don't. Karen Gilbert, I've already pointed out that Jack Smith's wife did a documentary about Michelle Obama. Well, Karen Gilbert, one of the lead prosecutors on Jack Smith's staff, donates money to Obama, Democratic National Committee. Unbelievable. And she has been nefarious. She recorded a defense lawyer and an investigator without their knowledge once and got thrown off a case. Again, everyday Joe Americans would say, how is it fair for Merrick Garland, Jack Smith, and Karen Gilbert to be prosecuting them? Think of all the different people that they could pick, and that's who they picked. In the legal systems, it's okay. They say they can be unfair, that they can be fair and unbiased, so it's okay. They say. Children mental health, this is scary. Caught this story. 15%. I don't know where they got this number. If this number is true and accurate, it's scary. 15% of children were treated for some mental health disorder. 15%? Way to go, Fauci. Nobody contributed that to more than that than Dr. Fauci. Scary. Now, this is scary. AI danger. A woman testified yesterday in Congress where some bad guys used AI to have her daughter's voice call her in a desperate plea for help. Scary, scary stuff. She said, I had no reason not to believe that this wasn't my daughter. That just makes me like creep out. I'm not for AI. I guess I'd be only AI restricted, but how do you restrict it? This is the Bulldog. Every dog has a day. Coming up next, Eric Deters and local news. Ladies and gentlemen, the American Jury and Bulldog Nation, welcome to Eric Deters Local News, sponsored by Deters Consulting, Parks Yoga. Check us out on all of our platforms. Well, lead story. The Cincinnati mayor in the city of Cincinnati apologized to this community in Cincinnati over the West End. It was a wild story. I think it was 1948 maybe. For public housing, they actually razed, destroyed, took down an entire community. You know how many people were displaced? 20,000 people. 95% were black. Yeah, geez, oh Pete. Crazy. In law and crime, East Price Hill. Here we go again, Price Hill. I tell you right now, if you live in Avondale, Bond Hill, and Price Hill, Mount Airy, is there someplace else you can move to? If not, I feel bad for you. But anyway, SWAT was called. Some guy walks out of his house on McPherson Avenue, fires 2 shots in the air and goes back in. He had some teenagers in there with him. So what do? They call SWAT. SWAT. Local news. This is an interesting story. Covington is seeking fire recruits. They got a little academy. They get them out of high school. They start training them. It's called cadets. By the way, folks, I don't think there's any job any more rewarding than being a firefighter. Plus, you get to stay in shape. And if you work for a city like this, you get a good pension. Hope there's a lot of people out there, especially somebody just with a high school degree. Become a fireman. All right, Charlotte, where it looks like we're going to lose Western Southern. You know, Mason, I think, approved, was it $2 million or $5 million to try to keep them? Charlotte approved $65 million to build a tennis place in Charlotte. So it looks like Western Southern is going to be headed to Charlotte. In Ohio news, did you know Ohio is considered the trash can for the East Coast because the low waste fees bring in out-of-state garbage? Ohioans generate about 28 million tons of trash a year. But the bottom line is, other states, they come into Ohio. What's up with that, Buckeyes? Come on, Nick Batista. Another Ohio story, Ohio tourism. They're going to spend $3.6 million, well, take it back, $10 million more in a budget to try to get more tourists with the idea that they stay here. So Ohio is recruiting trash and people at the same time. Go Buckeyes. This is the Bulldog. Every dog has their day. Coming up next, Jamie Spindley and the Eric Deters World News.
Hello, Bulldog Nation. The latest world headlines. A boat accident in Nigeria on the Niger River overturned after hitting a tree trunk. Hundreds of people are feared dead. 53 people escaped. At least 3 people have been killed in a rare Russian attack on the Black Sea port of Odessa, and 3 others have died after an airstrike near Donetsk. Tens of thousands have been evacuated in Pakistan and India as parts of the country brace for an extremely powerful cyclone which will hit on Thursday. More updates tomorrow. At least 32 migrants have drowned this morning after their fishing vessel capsized off the coast of Greece. The boat was en route to Italy from Libya. It is unclear how the vessel sank. And in sports, Jude Bellingham, the England midfield, signs a 6-year deal to play for Real Madrid in Spain next season, worth £115 million, which is equivalent to $100 million plus add-on bonuses. Until tomorrow, take care. Cheerio.